Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322. In this video we'll showcase the fastest cars overall in GTA 5 organised by lap time and then by top speed. All 637 cars in the game from the 17 vehicle classes that aren't motorcycles, cycles, boats, helicopters and planes have been put through their paces on my testing track and top speed run, and we'll be seeing the best of them in this video. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on future testing of new vehicles added to GTA 5 and beyond, and check out all vehicle classes in the playlist. This video is brought to you by my newest YouTube channel, the GTA Car Showroom. Aiming to be a complete repository of showcases and info for every GTA car, click the link in the description to subscribe and browse all the cars that we have so far. As we start the list, it's important for me to let you know that the intro video to this series, which is linked in the description and pinned comment, likely answers any questions you have about this testing, from simple things like what car upgrades are needed to maximise performance and what HSW stands for, to more complicated things like why I use off-road wheels and overall testing methodologies. Give that video a watch if there's anything you don't understand here, since everything there is assumed knowledge for this video. So we're starting the 2025 testing videos in the usual way for odd numbered years at least, with this list going over the overall fastest cars in the game at this point. While 2024 introduced this new testing series and I managed to retest over 600 cars and publish up-to-date videos for all car classes, this video does away with those categorizations and instead looks at everything at once. So I've decided to show the top 16 here, since the first cars that we see are actually the fastest non-HSW, non-boosted cars, with the Krieger, Weaponized Ignis, Turismo Omaggio and Emerus hitting the top spots for lap time. The only interloper here is the Scramjet, which amazingly gets exactly the same lap time as the Turismo Omaggio, but gets the higher position overall due to having a much better top speed. So the Emerus is obviously still the number one when it comes to non-HSW, non-boosted cars, but it's very, very close in the top tier of supercars when you take out HSW and other aspects like that. Very, very close in terms of lap time between the Emerus down to the Krieger. Now the top 11 and 12 of the top 13 all have some gimmick to make them go faster. Primarily these days that means upgrades at how Special works to give them crazy high top speeds. Now that these cars are on PC as well as the newer consoles, if you haven't heard anything about this, check the intro video to this series for more info. The HSW Banshee GTS starts things off in 11th place overall for lap time, but we actually don't see another HSW car for a while, as we see the rocket boost of the Toreador helping it achieve a top 10. And then we've got after this a group of open wheelers with their KERS power boost, which admittedly doesn't really help them that much over and above just their incredible grip levels, but it does certainly improve their lap time somewhat. And certainly, you know, their top speeds are nothing to shout home about when it comes to the open wheelers, but the KERS boost that these cars have, again talking about those gimmicks that make cars faster, it does give them a good 2 to 2 seconds per lap better lap times than what they otherwise would get. But without that gimmick, without that KERS power boost, because you can only really use it at one point on this track, they would still be in this top 16 list anyway, because their levels of grip are just so high, and basically you can just take almost every single corner without braking, most of the time just a little bit of a lift or even full throttle for most of the cars, especially because for something like the PR4, which is pretty, you know, all of the open wheelers are pretty down on power and they've just got so much grip. So yeah, 9th, 8th and 7th spots for the R88, DR1 and PR4 respectively. But then when we come to 6th place, we're back into HSW cars again with the La Carouse, which it's also a good enough car for 2nd place in the sports class, again thanks to its incredible grip. But obviously the La Carouse has that top speed to back it up. It doesn't have the kind of grip that some of the open wheelers do, but it's close enough that when it gets that HSW top speed, it gets a really quick lap time. The top 5 though all managed to do something that the La Carouse couldn't do and break the 56-second lap time barrier, starting with the Vigilante in 5th. This is obviously purely down to its ridiculously powerful rocket boost. The Vigilante goes around 10 seconds per lap slower when you're not using the boost, so it is crazy how big of a difference it makes, and I'm pretty sure it's still the most powerful rocket boost of any vehicle. Yeah, they really went hard with the rocket boost on the first one with the Vigilante. Now 4th place goes to our second fastest supercar with the HSW Cyclone 2. This has okay grip, but and you know, decent enough top speed, although not great for HSW cars. But what gives it that vigilante matching lap time is its monstrous acceleration. It's so quick from a standstill that it almost feels like you've got a rocket boost on the back of this car. You know, no non-rocket powered car accelerates quicker than the HSW Cyclone 2. 3rd place sees our fastest sport car with the HSW Niobe. Now it's not the last time you'll see this car in this video as we check out top speed next, but those numbers are just remarkable. 3rd overall across all cars in the game for both lap time and top speed, with a 55.3 second lap and nearly 160 mph top speed. It really makes this car seriously OP, but we'll talk a bit more about that later on. It can't quite match the HSW weaponized Ignis for lap time though, as we see our number 1 fastest supercar hit the 2nd spot overall, around a 10th faster overall than the Niobe, although with an almost 15 mph top speed deficit. It's still crazy to me that a car like this is at the top of the supercars class, but at least it's not the top overall for all vehicles. You know, it's a little bit silly with a weaponized vehicle like this, but there is still one vehicle that beats it. And it's the same car that has had that top spot for nearly 5 years now, the BR8. The fastest open wheel car still hasn't had its lap time beaten by any other car, and with good reason. It's an absolute grip monster. It may have a top speed that puts it 150th overall and therefore almost outside the top 25 of all cars in the game for top speed, but it absolutely makes up for it with its ability to take corners at speeds higher than anything else, and it's the only car that breaks the 55-second barrier. But now we have to turn our attention to top speed, focusing on the right hand side of the screen for this segment. And we've got a bit of a bonus section first, showing the top 5 fastest normal cars for top speed in the game. Interestingly, the Coquette D10 Pursuit, which is recent, goes into 5th place for that. Now by normal I mean cars without HSW upgrades or any other boosting mechanics like nitro boosts, KERS boosts, rocket boosts. While we did see the top cars for this metric within the top 16 overall for lap time, talking about the Krieger, the Emirates, the Turismo Maggio, that's not the case for top speed, with all of these cars falling outside of the overall top 20 due to the increasing number of high top speed HSW vehicles being added to the game. The Pariah obviously held that title for the longest time of the fastest normal car in the game for top speed, before it was beaten by the Weevil Custom by 1.5 miles per hour. But even now those are only in 3rd and 2nd places overall for normal cars and outside of the top 20 overall for all cars, because we've got the non-HSW version of the Banshee GTS, which goes a further 0.5 miles per hour quicker than the Weevil Custom at 138 miles per hour. That now takes the top spot for non-HSW, non-boosted cars for top speed. So not the last time we're going to see that car as well. Now, just to keep in mind, the ZR380 and the Vigilante have the highest top speeds for non-HSW cars, but cars that have boosts, sitting in 16th and 12th places overall respectively. But now it's time to focus on the top 5 overall for all cars in the game, regardless of categorization. And I guess it's no surprise that they're all HSW cars, because HSW cars just have such high top speeds. We start with the 2 fastest muscle class cars of the Vigero ZX and its convertible version, which perform identically. It doesn't matter which one you have for these, they both perform exactly the same, whether you want the convertible version or the regular version, and they both have an incredible top speed of 158 miles per hour. The lap times are nowhere near what we'll see from the top HSW supercars or sports cars, but we're just looking at top speed here, and they're very, very quick. There are no supercars in sight when it comes to top speed though, since the top 3 overall are all in the sports class. I guess that continues the trend where the Pariah from sports was always quicker than all the supercars in the past. We're starting with the Niobe that we've seen earlier, being in 3rd place across all cars in the game for both lap time and top speed. And it kind of further cements its place as basically the fastest all-round car in the game, with that crazy quick lap time and nearly 160 mph top speed. Overall, in most situations, this is going to be the quickest car across everything. It's just so fast and so well rounded. Now the stupidly named Italy GTO Stinger TT HSW version is in 2nd place overall, having an almost 10 mph higher top speed than that of the Niobe. but it is a pretty awful driving experience, and it being 4 seconds per lap and 23 places slower than the Niobe for lap time shows exactly why top speed isn't as important of a metric as you'd think to overall performance. But the overall new number 1 for top speed is another car that we saw earlier, with the HSW version of the Banshee GTS, being the first to break the 170 mph barrier and being 11th overall for lap time. Probably slots into 2nd place for the fastest cars overall in most situations after the Niobe. So as you've seen, the lists for lap time and top speed are quite different, with only 5 cars being in the top 16 on both metrics. If you're curious, those are the HSW La Carouse, which is in 6th place for lap time and 15th for top speed, the Vigilante in 5th place for lap time and 12th for top speed, and the Weaponized Ignis in 2nd place for lap time and 13th for top speed, alongside the Niobe and Banshee GTS, as we've already seen, with the Niobe being the only car even in the top 10 across both metrics. Now, when you're comparing HSW versus non-HSW, it's actually pretty impressive how the Emerus is able to stay ahead of the Weaponized Ignis for most of the lap. It's just got better grip, and that's also why the Emerus is quicker than the non-HSW version of the Weaponized Ignis, as we saw earlier in the video. But obviously when that HSW top speed gets going on that back straight, there's nothing that the Emerus can do, but it's still pretty impressive nevertheless. And I kind of wish the HSW cars were just put in their own class. They do have a separate HSW class for HSW races, but it's a bit of a faff to race with them, and you've got to create a brand new track specifically for HSW cars. You can't just set the class in any normal race lobby to HSW, and the HSW cars are still going to appear in normal supercar races or sports car races unless you disable them, of course. So it's just a little bit messy, but most classes these days have HSW cars at the top, and it's not difficult to see why when you're comparing the fastest HSW car for top speed versus the fastest non-HSW car for top speed, it's a big difference. So yeah, that's everything for this video. Please consider supporting on Patreon or become a YouTube member if you want to support this work and get some extra perks for doing so, such as early access to videos and other testing results. Also remember to read the description for more info, comment with your thoughts, like the video if you enjoyed it, found it helpful, and subscribe for more. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.